Hi, everyone. Pastor Galen, lead pastor at Cheyenne Hills Church. Thank you so much for joining us on this podcast. We hope that these podcasts will be a real encouragement to you on your spiritual journey. You can also connect with Cheyenne Hills at CheyenneHills.org. Hope you enjoy the program.
We are across the street and around the world, Cheyenne Hills.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. Nathan, welcome.
Good to see you.
It's good to be back together again. It seems like we've been off for a couple of weeks here.
I know, bouncing all over the state.
Yeah, I know, you're a busy guy.
Well, you too, man.
Well, no, I kind of go, we got away in the mountains because my wife's birthday, and we always go right around September 27th. And so we get out, and the colors were awesome. Went to encampment.
Wait, you just referred to her as your wife. Normally you say your think tank, right? Is it
yeah, right.
How is
No,
you...
she's a research department.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, she's
a great lady.
She's amazing. So anyway, yeah, and actually, the research department came up with something so cool that we're going to use it for our February series. So she's like, yeah, just got to stay close to that lady.
That's great.
Okay, so I want to talk about school board stuff. It's coming up quick.
It is.
People are asking me who, and I know as a pastor I can't endorse people, and I understand that, but I definitely want to get the ideas that are on the table,
right?
And who has what ideas. And I know you've been doing some research, so I'd like for you to talk about the candidates that have the ideas that you have a worldview that, certainly Family Policy Alliance, we put a lot of trust in your institution, and that's what you do.
Right.
It's your lane.
That's right.
So I can, as my church lane, as I can say, I look in your lane and I like to copy off of what's going on in your paper. but no, and then also, at least I want to know what you're thinking, but I also want to talk about the structure, because I think people are going to go into these voting booths and things are going to be a little bit different. Because we've got different triads. We've got one at large. So it looks like you choose two. So can you maybe the structure? They're going to walk into this voting booth in November, and what can they expect? And how's this going to look as far as a citizen, as a person in Laramie County School District 1 voting on school board members?
Well, you're absolutely right. This will be the first election where we have the triad system in place. And so we have 4 individuals that are up for election, or 4 seats, I should say, that are up for election. One of them will be in an at-large seat.
Okay.
And then 3 of them will be set up according to the triad system.
Okay.
And so when you look at that, different people in different parts of the county, their ballot will look just a little different. On everyone's ballot, the at-large position will be there. But then depending on which area you're in, which part of the triad, or which triad you're in.
You live in.
Yeah, right. You'll be
not
looking
where
at
your
specific
children
ones.
goes to school. It's where
Right.
you live.
It's
it
where
may
you
be
live.
both.
Yeah. In general, that's what it would be based on.
Yeah.
But I heard just recently that it doesn't fall exactly according to whether you go to East or Central or South high school. That there's slight nuances on certain edges for some people.
So I want people to know, okay, these are the 4 that are being endorsed by Family Policy Alliance.
Right.
And that way they know when they go in there, it's like, well, I thought I was in this triad, but I'm in this triad. And so this name, there could be some confusion. Would like to clear all that up if we can in this podcast.
Well, I'd love to, what I can do is just tell you kind of who we're talking to.
Sure.
And then hopefully what we'll do is we'll have them in and maybe even interview them.
Yeah.
Love to do that. But so for the at-large position, we have a phenomenal candidate that is an immediate leader. He was on the school board for several years, about a decade ago, and just a tremendous man. His name is Hank Bailey. And Hank Bailey, we've researched a lot of these different people and where they stand on things, but Hank just rises right to the top. And so
one of the things that I really liked about him when you were describing him to me is that he is a lawyer, and he's been on the school board before. But I know that the school board is, these are seriously, all the people on the school board are great people. They really, I disagree with their views of life and what they believe about certain things, but they are being persuaded by lawyers. A lot of them are national lawyers that are coming in. Right. And these guys are really, really good at what they say. And so a normal person that doesn't really speak lawyer talk, that's on those boards, they can be really persuaded by or even frightened, in my opinion, by some of the things that come, and to have a guy like Hank Bailey that understands law, he understands the school board, and can actually push back to say, wait a minute, well, that, here's exactly what you stepped over the line here, or whatever. This is here's exactly what the law says. And be able to have that lawyer pushback. I just thought, man, this is brilliant to have a guy like that that's on the ballot.
And it's so important too, because there's a current situation that developed in Sweetwater County, and where essentially their lawyer told the school board that they have to adopt proposed regulations. Now, notice it's proposed. It's not even in statute yet or anything like that. Proposed regulations from the current presidential administration, the Biden administration, on transgenderism and Title IX and things like that. And so their lawyer told them something that wasn't true. It was interesting. There was someone in that community that actually reached out to Mr. Bailey's law firm, and he was able to actually push against it. And so, and part of it, so even if we had no lawyers that we had to move forward, it's wonderful to be able to get behind someone that will ask good questions. Because you can find a lawyer to say almost anything you want.
Sure.
And sadly, that it's not just the legal profession. You can find people that claim to be theologians and everything else to do the same thing.
That's true. Exactly. You need to know, like a theological debate, you need to someone that has studied theology. It's like, oh, wait a minute. I know where they're going. They can build this case, but there's another whole thought down here that will contradict that.
And they have a good critical thinking capacity.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So Hank Bailey is top notch. Not only that, let me just say this before we go on to the next person, but Hank he's from a different faith than you and I, and yet he is extremely thoughtful and careful and devout and serves. And I respect that. I respect that. And so his worldview is one of faithful service to what he believes. And I'm really thankful for him.
Yeah, I was glad that there's a Hank Bailey type on that board that's been there before. That's good. Really good. Okay. Now, so that's the at-large. So everybody will have an opportunity to vote for the at-large.
That's right.
Is that right?
Right. So when it comes to the other three, other than Mr. Bailey in the at-large position, we have in the South triad, we have Susan Edgerton. And Susan has been working really closely on a lot of things for some time and aware of many issues that have crept up in the school. And then we have in the East triad, Brooke Humphries, a really intelligent young lady who knows how to advocate for truth in a very thoughtful way. And I think that this is going to be a great fit for her. And then in the central triad, we have our only incumbent that we're supporting this go round, and her name is Christy Claussen. And Christy is one of two individuals who have been very thoughtful, trying to push back against a lot of the things that have been happening. And so when you look at those four, so it's Hank Bailey, Susan Edgerton, Brooke Humphries, and Christy Claussen. Those four are really important. And very interestingly, Galen, just in the last 48 hours or so, there was an article or a little letter to the editor someone published and said that we should not be turning these kind of positions into political races and basically supporting them. Well, the thing is, honestly, I would like for it to not be a political issue. But we have seen over the last number of years that they have crept more and more and more into the political realm. And so there's a point where it is wise for people to really look at who these folks are.
The church is the same thing. I mean, it's like there's issues that we need to speak to, and then I get accused of being political. It's like, well, those are issues that the Bible speaks clearly to. And if that means it's political, I mean, it's uncharted territory for sure. And it's so I think I can comment on some of I know two of the candidates pretty well. I don't know Christy Claussen. I know she's been around. I've heard her name for a long time. Maybe you can speak a lot more to her, kind of her views and things. But let's start with the South triad. Susan Edgerton. And Susan is, I do know her, and I've known her for quite a while, actually. And she's been a person that has brought up concerns. She's a person that prays. She's a person that loves the Lord. And I will tell you, she has had a heart for these issues. She's on, what's the committee, the women's committee that we went to? You and I went to that. Moms for Liberty. Sorry, Moms for Liberty. I just lost that for a little bit. But I think it's an amazing group, very thoughtful women. Man, these women are very informed. Now, I don't know if Susan is on that committee. She's a part of that group, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But she is very informed in what's going on in our schools. And so I certainly can understand. I know where she comes from. The other gal, and I don't know if this means that I'm just speaking to their character. I hope this is okay to speak to.
I think so.
And but these are the people that I know. I know Brooke Humphries, and Brooke is one that she's a young mother. She's got a couple of young children. She is there because she desires to, see things that a young mother would want to have happen in the hearts and minds of her children as well. That I know she's also served in ministry before, has been on staff in a ministry, very, very, in my opinion, a very solid individual, a very thoughtful individual, and just a young mother that says, you know what, I'm willing to jump into this. And she knows it's a tall order.
Right.
And I've really appreciated just listening what I've heard of her humility, but also she's got a tenacity about her that I've
it's going to be necessary.
I think so too. I for sure do. So those are two that I know. I don't know Hank Bailey, and I don't know Christy Claussen. So I don't know them.
Wonderful folk,
Okay.
both of them. And I've described both of them at some point here, but both of them care very much. There's been one, and I think it would be good just to mention this. There were individuals that were a little frustrated way back when the school board, and Christy was on it, voted for the masking.
Oh, yeah.
But she made it abundantly clear at the time and then later as well that the first time she actually voted for the masking because they were told repeatedly that the only way they could actually get kids back in school was to do that. And then the moment they saw any sort of opportunity, Christy voted to remove the mask.
Okay.
And so that was something that it was a question that had been raised by a few.
That's
and
true.
She's been very clear from the beginning that she didn't like it, but the only way at first to get kids in school was to do that.
Okay.
So, and Mr. Bailey, my goodness, I think if you listen to him talk, you'd just get fired up.
Is that right?
And yeah, he's great.
I'd like to meet him sometime.
Yeah.
So, well, okay. So these are the candidates, and how can they get more information? I know you're putting something together on your website,
Right?
Family
right.
Policy Alliance, and give us, how do we get to your website? How can they find out more information?
FamilyPolicyAlliance.com/Wyoming.
Okay.
And here in just a few days, we're actually going to be moving to something called WyomingFamily.org.
Okay.
And you'll be able to see things there as well.
Okay.
Also, you can go to
Are they the same website? Or?
same place.
It's just I got you. Different way to get there.
One of them is kind of an older website, and then
Okay.
the other one is what we're transitioning into.
Okay. Good.
And then also you can go to the Facebook page for Laramie County Moms for Liberty,
Okay.
and you'll find that as well.
And this information about these candidates will be on there.
Right.
Okay.
And it'll be they're doing their thing. Of course, we're doing our thing, but it just so happens that we're supporting the same people. I think there's a lot of folk that have begun to realize that we're going to have to actually do some vetting and looking in to these folks. And so
sure.
I think there's going to be more information this year than ever before.
Okay. So they go to your website and is there going to be you can click on a certain button? Is it going to say elections or something? Or what's it going to say?
Well, there'll be a scroll. You either scroll down on the current website, you would just scroll down, or you can click on elections and you'll see a tab there, and it'll have an endorsement. It'll have their photo and what they're running for, and then just a brief statement from us.
Nice. Well, thank you for doing all this background work. You've probably championed this idea, and I keep giving you credit for it, for at least for me personally, that really the most important election that we have is the one that's closest to us.
Yeah.
And that school board is the closest to us. And I've come to understand that the power that this board has.
Yeah.
And I think I just want everybody to know this is a big vote, big election, and what's going on in the hearts and minds of our kids. I've used this verse, Matthew 18:6. If you cause one of these little ones who love me to stumble, it would be better for you to have a millstone wrapped around your neck and be cast to the bottom of the sea. That's been my driving verse that's got me out of from behind the pulpit to say, guys, we got to be informed about what's going on, because boards and good people have different ideas. We have some good people on that board right now that they just have a different worldview about
That's the issue.
Hearts and minds of our kids. And so for us to not speak to that, I know I've been accused of being political, but it's like, I'm just shining the light on the fact that this is an important board.
Mm-hmm.
It has a lot to do with what goes in the curriculum, with the hearts and minds of our kids, and the things that teachers are asked to, teach and all those things.
Right.
And we've got some phenomenal teachers in our district. They're just phenomenal.
Right.
They need to be, but they need to be supported by a board that has the strength that they do.
That's right.
So, or the worldview they do. And so, anyway, people need to know and be involved. That's where I've been landing. That's right. These are tough days, tough issues, tough topics, but important days for sure. And I think they're days that we've got to be strong and very courageous. God bless you guys.